Action. Hello, dear friends, my loved audiences. Welcome to the show, Jack Chow, on the East West Show with GNE TV. Once again, it is our weekly update. Once again, it's a moment with my good friend. Once again, it's time to be with my friend, Ken Hemming. Having a good time every time we do the weekly update. Yes, with that, we express our warm welcome for Ken to come back again on the weekly update.
I'm in the place I want to be on planet Earth right now, Jack, with you and your viewers. And I think we have lots of very, very deep topics to talk about today.
Don't you think 1 week is too long?
Yeah, I miss your viewers more than I miss you, but I miss you.
I say it for twofold.
Yeah.
Fold number one, of course, I wish to see you twice a week, right?
Yeah.
Fold number two, there are so many things happening in a week, though. A one-time summary would not be enough.
No, it's.
Would you consider show up some other days?
Hey, if I'm in town, I can be here. If I'm in town.
Would you make try to make yourself in town?
Yeah, right.
Something like that, right? Okay. Anyway,
I'm so happy to be here.
that's a good compliment, isn't it?
It is.
People
Thank you.
like you.
I
like
feel
you a
very
lot.
humble.
Yeah, good. So, what's on top of today?
Well, I do think we should update Hurricane Florence. Mm-hmm. And I have my red tie on, which is Trump Jr. tie, because he is in North and South Carolina today, catching up with the developments down there. And actually, I was watching him. He was passing out food to people in cars driving by. And really, what I like about it is, he represents the people, not the government. And this is a serious statement to me.
Trump
I believe
Jr.
his heart represents
Trump Jr.
the people.
hasn't anything to do with people.
This is Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Yeah,
yes.
he has everything to do with people.
Yeah, when you say Trump Jr., I was so surprised.
Oh, it's a Trump Jr. tie. Oh yeah, no, it's just the tie.
Yeah. All right, good.
Because if he can wear it with pride, I can too.
You confused me. I thought
okay.
Trump Jr. was there now.
No, my fault. Okay, I'm a bad person.
Sure,
but
yeah.
it's real moving. And then I look at some of the other networks too to see what they say, and they say, oh, there he is trying to be pretend he cares about the people when all he's trying to do is get a photo op. That's just wrong. He's there. He does represent the people. That's why I'm a supporter. But also now what's happened last Friday around 7:30 in the morning is when the hurricane at that time down to a hurricane level 1 came on land in North Carolina. And then by 4:30 that afternoon last Friday, it was classified as a tropical storm. And so that's different. Now, the big thing, obviously the winds and everything did serious damage, but also the greatest damage of all comes from water and flooding. The rains have been unbelievable. 35 inches is one number I heard, and it was supposed to grow from there. So it's a lot of inches, okay? And also then the surges from the rivers and that, because so much water gets in, it just raises the level up onto the land and into the buildings. So that's where the real danger is. Now, the last estimates, about 30 people have died from this activity.
Yeah, let's comment on one by one, a little bit by bit.
Yes, sir.
Within that limited hours, for that much amount of water to hit one area, that's a devastating disaster.
It is. It's a disaster.
Remember last week when we did the prediction of the hurricane, oncoming hurricane. That time was at Bermuda Islands or somewhere.
Right, offshore.
It was said to bring 30 to 40 inches of water. And sure enough, it did bring 35.
Or more,
Or even more.
Right.
That's a lot. That's a lot of
it's
water.
It's huge.
That's a lot of water.
We could use some of that in California.
I really wish that something disperse or something to California, that we need that water a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what is the most danger when you see that kind of flood? Lots of people did not notice, or they have done it already so that you did not notice.
That's true.
The power, electricity.
Okay. 1.7 million people were without power.
I know.
Now we're down to 150,000 without power.
It is
They've
good
done fabulous.
It is always safe. It is always safe to cut off the power before you're drowned. before the area is drowned, because the discharge of the electricity into water, that kills a lot. That kills the most.
Well, if it does, yeah. But also, that's a very good point. Also, though, the devastation, brought down power lines and everything, and they just lost power. But 1.7 million, all the way back up to 150,000 now, and within a couple days, they expect them to have their power back.
90% back on, in other words.
Yeah, 95%.
More than 90% back on.
So the power companies, whatever they are, whoever they are, I don't know their names down there, have really done a very nice job.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Yeah,
everybody has done a great job.
Yeah.
So back to Donald Trump, I believe that when I saw the image there, people kind of like babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they are strong, they act strong whatsoever.
That's a nice point.
When the Mother Nature hits, when disaster hits, they are just like babies. They need help. They need something emotionally to hold on, right? And it is a moment of no partisanship, of no politics.
That's true.
Of nothing of that nature.
Right.
It is a human life.
Right. And there were many rescues, by the way, of people, on roofs or in different, people got into trouble because they maybe didn't evacuate in time, things like that. But, and that makes it so dangerous. But there were a lot of great rescues.
That specific moment when the president of a country, right, such as himself, showed up, right? Oh, of course. I really hate people to deny everything only from their political take, right?
Correct.
Right? Only because he's Donald Trump.
Right.
So he was only for a show.
Yeah.
Was only for a picture, for whatsoever. Who the hell is going to prevent any pictures?
It's just so silly. Just say, thank God, help us, Mr. President. And he has said, no, this is not going to be a cheap storm, okay? This is going to cost us taxpayers a lot of money.
I told you day one, even the time you and I argue.
Yes, sir.
I do not argue with you because I don't like Donald Trump. I argue with you only on certain issues.
Yes, sir.
Whatever he does.
Issue by issue.
What he does with thumb up.
Yeah.
You got to go with thumb up.
That's right.
Or thumbs up.
And this is the thumb up day.
Right, this is thumb up day.
Yeah.
Thumb up a moment, right?
It is.
Number one, he is there in time.
Yeah.
And number two, he said what he was supposed to say.
Well, it's his heart talking. His heart has lips. He likes people. He serves our people. There was one thing I was reminded of today, Jack. Your viewers are going to love this. When Mrs. Trump was down in the Texas problem of, X number of months ago, whatever it was, and she's around people and everything and expressing her concern and love, a lady that was kind of, in this shelter said, "Boy, Mrs. Trump, I really love your boots." Guess what? She took them off and gave them to her. You tell me who else is going to do that. Some people will. I'd be happy to. But that was pretty sweet. Because we guarantee this, they were cheap boots.
Well, could be, you could read her mind for that very moment.
She's nice.
Moment. Well, when somebody says that, and she knows that they suffer a lot, whatever she can do to calm down the situation, to minimize the suffering.
Right.
If a pair of boots will do, let's do it. Something like that kind of.
It's called sincere.
Sincere. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't argue with I don't like the argument of the radicals talking about hey, I hear a lot, and I read a lot of comments about Donald Trump putting up a big show over there, and. He's only there for the news, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, now, let me ask you, if he is not there, who else is supposed to be there?
Well, he's the leader of our country.
And he is not there, would people praise him for not being there or criticize him?
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because they would say, where is he? Why isn't he out giving love?
All
so
right.
no matter whether he's there or not, they're just going to throw hate at him.
If Jack Chow is there, Well, I'm not even recognized.
Well, I'd be real proud if if we could do things like
we
you
go
can
together.
reach out.
We can go together,
Yeah.
but
See-
people still will criticize Donald Trump. Say,
No matter
why are you not there the moment you're needed?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And the moment when he needed, he is there, and jaws another criticism. Say, hey, you were there for a show.
Right.
Can you stop the camera for me?
Hate is blind.
Can you stop the camera for me?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
No.
You can't stop
I
it.
don't like that argument. That argument, those kind of argument wouldn't stand.
Now, the
Wouldn't
thing,
stand.
this is real interesting.
Okay, I'll give you this. I can promise this.
Yes, sir.
If it rotates back to the Obama time, and there is the hurricane when President Obama did exactly what he did, though, I would say the same thing. Because
say,
here is
great,
the moment.
thank you.
Yeah, here's
Of
the
course.
moment. Here's the moment of no politics.
Right, right.
Here's the moment of no partisanship.
Yeah.
Why you hang on to partisanship? For example, Titanic at the time when it's sinking. So
Rich people and poor people bonded.
yeah.
That's
Do you
right.
do you flag? I mean, do you flatter your flag of Republican or Democrat
No.
whatsoever?
You could say this: weather disasters or natural disasters are unifying anywhere on the planet. It brings people together,
unifies people, everybody who wants to survive.
and I don't want it to happen
If
anymore.
you don't want to survive,
Yeah.
you go on your own way.
And what's the
right?
real sad thing is once it's not in the news every day, which it is right now, we don't realize that for months these people are
Speaking
recovering.
of wanting to survive, though, there's another issue we want to take. We probably want to still have to mention it when we come back after this little break.
Yes,
All right?
sir.
Good. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely fellow Americans. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow on the East West Show with my dear friend Ken Hemming doing the weekly update. We put it on top that the hurricane issue and the water, the flood that brought us, the sufferings lots of people are enduring in this moment back east, North Carolina, and we share that moment with the folks back there. Our thoughts are with you. Our thoughts are deeply with you, my dear folks over there, because if something happened to us that way, though, you will do the same thing.
We'd help each other.
Right? Why? Because we are one nation
Under God.
and under God.
Different gods sometimes, but
Oh, well, no,
Yeah.
not in
know.
this very moment, all right?
I know.
I hate anybody who throws politics in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Whoever does it in front of my eye got denounced,
right. I
got
agree.
kicked in the butt. I don't like that. I don't buy that.
It's hypocrisy.
Yes, hypocrisy. Politics belong to different areas.
Yeah.
At this moment, when you talk about humanity, you talk about Mother Nature, when you talk about disaster, that scale, you really want the nation to be united as ever before.
It's necessary for
All right?
survival,
Okay.
yes.
Now, like I said, whoever wants to survive, please be united. That's it.
Yes, that's simple. And that applies to the world stage. America needs to be united.
Speaking of to be survived, wanting to be survived, though, do you recall the mandate call for evasion? I mean, for
Evacuation?
For evacuation. I'm
Yes.
sorry, right.
Most people responded.
Some people even refused to go.
Right. Well,
That's my
they've lived
headache.
through hurricanes before. But what happens when you refuse to go and then there's a need for you to be rescued or something, it puts the lives of the first responders in
You're
danger.
wasting resources.
Very selfish not to evacuate when you're asked to.
you're wasting resources.
Right.
And you
That's
can
right.
say
Good
you
words.
can say it's my own life. I be my own boss, my own life, though.
Mm-hmm.
But the rescuers will not just leave you alone just because you said that.
Absolutely.
They still have to rescue you.
Yeah, like one
Well,
of the
you-
Yeah, one of the tragedies down there was a mother with a young child that were killed because a big tree fell on them. And that same tree could fall on other first responders that are unnecessarily forced into rescuing people that were too stubborn to leave. That's a tragedy. That would be tragic.
I know, but I really want to criticize those folks who refuse to go.
Right.
Well, when there is an order,
Yeah.
right? They did not follow the order, and now it's time they're wasting the resources, limited resources.
That's a good point. Right.
That resource could be used for something otherwise.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And as a summary, we give Donald Trump a thumb up.
Yes, sir.
I give him an A+. And
America for responding.
And America would. Our responding teams.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They put a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. Okay, what is even more fantastic is the responding team, rescue team from other states.
Absolutely.
Such as from California.
Absolutely.
Far, far away.
Right.
East, west. From California all the way, we went there.
And just like when we had these massive fires
Some
up
brothers,
north,
sisters,
they came from other states to help fight it.
Some brothers, sisters, they even went there from
Absolutely.
West Coast.
Sure.
Right? So to them, we give them, if we have 3 thumbs, we give them 3.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm sorry, we have only 2.
2, yeah.
Give them 2 thumbs up, right? So
it's a dangerous job.
These are heroic people. These are heroic human beings, and they live up to their spirit.
Well, and as we mentioned last week when we were anticipating this, I said, I'm a failure because I don't have water and food, in case of earthquake problems or whatever. And a lot of these people, so that's where the issues are now, water and food. And also, I was really kind of sad this morning to see several examples of looting back there too. So sometimes you give people a chance to be naughty, they're naughty.
That we really have to spend some time on.
It's very bad. Sad.
I never thought, I was never prepared to see the looting scene.
Yeah, it's bad.
And yet I did see several.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I recall the only worst one of 1992
Yes.
of LA riot at that time.
A lot of looting.
Right. A lot of looting.
A lot of it.
Lots of people took advantage of the situation when we had an argument. Okay, now, let's back up a little bit.
You're right.
Let's back up a little bit. Back then, there was a little argument between white and black whatsoever over Rodney King, right?
That was a big...
And then something bad happened, called a disaster, called a mess whatsoever.
Yeah.
People took advantage of that moment to loot the shops.
And they weren't looting because they cared about Rodney King. They were looting, white or black, for greed.
But this one,
Yeah.
who do you care for? What do you want to do? What do you want to do for it?
Well, one pawn store that was broken into, about 50 weapons, pistols and rifles were stolen.
Why?
They'll be out on the street and causing danger.
Yeah, why do you loot those weapons for?
I hope to sell them and make money. That's the reason. It's sick. It's very sick. But sick happens.
Do we have a law that when looting happens at a disaster time, there's no... I don't know.
It's robbery.
I know,
Yeah.
of course.
I'm
Robbery,
sorry.
of course.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about, how do you call it? Immediate action, shooting, boom, kill.
Well, yeah, I don't think...
Do the American laws have that system? If you loot at the moment of disaster, no, law enforcement can kill you right on the spot.
Well, they don't. But if you're armed, of course, then they'll have to do something.
Yeah.
But it's real, yeah.
Armed is a different story.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for the morality, for social morality.
Right.
Right.
No.
We have to do something to make sure you don't want to do the dirtiest thing.
Right.
I call them the not a human action.
Yeah, there's
Not a
sewers.
human act.
Yeah.
Right.
It's and the thing is, the police and those that could enforce the laws, they're all busy helping rescue and fight the natural disaster. So they don't even have the opportunity or the number of people to enforce the laws. I mean, you can't do it. And then the waters are flooding around, and
The same thing will happen.
these looters were on boats.
The same thing will happen. Remember LA,
rowboats.
right?
That was bad.
At that moment, a lot of people got away.
Right, totally.
And days later, well, the cameras got everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to bring in, they had to pay their time for
We
it.
found some. Yeah, we did.
We found them.
We could
right?
find them.
So justice can be served.
Yeah.
Only the arrival will be a little later.
A little later
A
sometimes.
little later.
Yeah.
But it will arrive.
Deferred justice.
It will arrive. Justice
Yeah.
shall arrive. Anyway, right? Okay. What is society? On one hand, we see President of the United States, the biggest power of the all nations, be there himself, right? In the water, in the rain, to comfort people.
He's doing
right?
that.
And we see thousands of rescuers coming into somebody's rescue
they're so
at
beautiful.
their own risk.
At their big risk.
And in the meantime, we see looters
Yeah. Right.
taking advantage of such a situation
Right.
to benefit themselves.
Just greed.
We got a lot of job to do, man.
Well,
We got
and
a
it
big
all
job
comes
to
down
do.
to, I always say, Jack, that the diminution of the family. We got so many divorced people. I mean, if you got a quality mom and dad and they raise you with love and guidance, we won't have this degree of problems.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I think
I
so.
mean, it's a demon mind.
But
Right.
but the demon mind can be controlled through guidance of loving parents.
Well, anyway, that another day,
Another topic,
probably
another day.
time, we shall talk about it.
Yeah.
I really do not think those actions, those activities, should be considered a human act. Human do not act that way.
No.
Right. Okay. My dear friend, my lovely audience, today we're doing our weekly update. Joining me is my dear brother Ken Hemming. He and I, we have lots of common ground. Even though politically we argue a lot, sometimes, I mean, but on these common ground, when the humanity is concerned,
Right.
humanity justice is concerned, we always shake hands. We always find our common ground. We're strongly going against those bad guys, bad activities.
One mind, one heart. We
All right,
share.
very good, very good. So let's take a short moment out, and when we come back, we'll pick up another subject, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with G&E TV. Having good time with my friend Ken Hemming. Mr. Ken Hemming is a lover to the community. He has led a very wonderful life himself, and a person I would call a role model in all kinds of aspects. I respect him. And the other day, when we talk about Ken Hemming, of course, he was not present, right? And lots of people, when they should see the show, though, they ask about Ken Hemming. I said Ken Hemming is the best human being I've ever crossed myself.
Thank you, Jack. I'm humbled to be here.
And who
honored.
I argue all the time with. We argue only to make a point.
That's right. We debate.
And for the best human being that I have ever across, I'm not saying it for nothing, because I have evidence to prove, bit by bit, day by day, day in, day out, he did prove himself to deserve that kind of title.
Thank you.
If I were the President of the United States, I'll crown you.
I'd like to work in the White House with him. I would.
Okay, very good. Okay, now, back to the issue. Probably we should argue. We have to argue.
This will be good.
All right. What's your comment? What's your comment so far to the nomination and confirmation process of Judge Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, this gentleman, Judge Kavanaugh, has led a life, an exemplary life of human decency, unparalleled intelligence, a really quality Catholic person that believes in Christ as his Savior, and is a family man. And when they had the hearings, he was attacked mercilessly, as if he was a piñata by some of the verbiage of some of the senators, and he handled it better than I could have. But although I'm good at it too, I like to be demeaned because it only makes me happy, because it doesn't bother me, and he handled it with such dignity and also a display of such intelligence that was unbelievable. And he had met previously alone with Dianne Feinstein, senator from California. And then during the hearings, she had a chance to ask him many questions. And then after the hearings are done and everything's looking rosy, then Dianne Feinstein, who had a letter, I believe quite falsely, accusing Kavanaugh of, in high school 36 years ago, being a little aggressive in romance or sex something, which never actually happened, because the lady said, but for Dianne Feinstein to wait till it was all over, it's just a technique of the radical left socialist leadership in the Democratic Party to delay with the hope that maybe they'll take over the House or the Senate after the elections. And it's truly evil. Now, I want to also say, I say some strong words, but I say strong words about both parties when I believe that, like the leader of the House, Paul Ryan, I think he's doing a terrible job. He's not supporting the president, and I don't support him one bit. He's going to retire, get out of the House at the end of the year, and yet he won't give up his leadership role right now, and he does not support the president in a proper way. So when I see something, I say what I feel from my intellect and from my heart, and I never am constrained by political correctness. Okay. I only live for the truth. But so what they did and what they're doing now, this lady who has accused this of 35 years ago, Kavanaugh has been vetted by the FBI 6 times.
Or so,
yeah, whatever, long time ago, and has been vetted by our government 6 different times deeply when he was promoted into different levels of responsibility in our government, and nothing. This never came up before. The lady is a professor who is a radical Democrat and hates Trump, and I think it's all contrived. And I'm saddened beyond words. Here's a gentleman with a great family, and then they're trying to ruin his reputation, which is 1,000 times better than mine on my best day, okay? He's just a better person. Okay. And I'm very depressed.
All right, you're
by
done
the
with
evil.
I let you specific. Sufficient time.
Yeah, right.
To finish the whole overall picture.
Yeah.
Of how you feel about the nomination, the confirmation process. Okay.
Right.
Here's mine.
Yes, sir.
Right now, it looks to me that Mr. Kavanaugh or Judge Kavanaugh has done a great job. Was doing a great job since even day one when the hearing started.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And it is true that lots of the questions were so hard to answer. Right.
Oh.
Some of the questions are even devastating to answer. And some of the questions even had no answers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hypothetical.
Yet I believe he handled every single one of the questions in the most perfect way.
He really did.
Until the moment when the acquisition comes. Right?
Oh, the accusation.
The accusation comes when everything seems to be in a disastrous way.
But not the way he's handling it.
No. Let me say it from my perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Number one, did it happen? Did it not happen in history? 30, 36, 35 years ago.
High school.
High school. Right. And number two, you mentioned a good point that when did the Democratic Party, the opposing party, get hold of that document?
In July.
In July, right? And you're talking about timing.
And they hit it.
Why hit it now?
Right.
All right. Okay. All together. Right now, it all come down to one point. Well, because there is no investigation yet. It is only her words against his word, and his word against her word, though. That's why this young lady called for a demand for an FBI investigation.
Well, there's one more thing we must mention. She named another person as being there, and he said
Exactly.
It never happened.
Two more. There's another one.
Yeah, never happened.
There's another one. All right. If that did not happen, she would not have the gut to name a person, say he was present.
Well, I don't agree with that. You're saying because she named somebody else that it means it happened, and the guy she named says it never happened. He wasn't there. It wasn't happened. It never happened. She was 15 years old and drinking at a party. That's what she says. That's not admirable. That's not honorable.
And also there's another one. There's another one she named. She named that it was present at that time. And that one hasn't spoken yet.
Okay, I haven't heard of another
Yeah,
person.
the third one.
She named
the
one.
second one. In other words, that moment when the improper sexual conduct happened, at that very moment, though, there were four people on the site.
Jack, you're assuming it happened. I'm not assuming it happened.
No. I'm not assuming it happened.
Okay.
I assuming if it happened, it should happen in the way like this.
Well, it should never happen, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
now, anyway,
Right.
all right.
But so I didn't know of another person.
No. I'm not saying that Mr. Judge Kavanaugh did it. I'm not saying that the young lady faked it. I'm saying that there is the investigation. My whole point goes to one center. Why would the system allow whoever holds the document, all right, release it not in July, right, till now?
Because their intention was to do the most damage at the latest possible time to delay his confirmation. He will be confirmed.
What differences would it make if that was the accusation was made in July, not now?
Because it would have been resolved 2 or 3 months ago, and right now they do it after the hearings are done. And she held that thing. She had meetings. She never. Dianne Feinstein, I'm talking about. And then this lady, 36 years. Why he went through all this vetting before with all of his promotions. She never said anything. This is all a scheme to obstruct and destroy and harm President Trump and his nominee. That's what I believe it is, and I would put my life on that.
Of course, yeah. I'm not talking about personal, right? If we do have to talk about anything personal, though,
Yeah.
I would remind everybody of my audience to think 36 years ago.
Okay.
Just pick up any party that you went 36 years ago, just to try to visualize what you can remember.
Well, let me tell you something. I listened on the radio to a lady that 55 years ago, when she was 11 years old, was sexually attacked by 2 kids, boys, okay? And she said she remembers every second of it. And a year later, one of the guys tried to attack her again, and a janitor broke it up. And she says, I remember every second. Now, this other lady that's accusing Kavanaugh says, I have, my memory doesn't work because it was so traumatic. Well, all the studies on this.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, which is really not a true statement. You
right?
do remember it if something happens.
Because if that was the accident, that was the incident that happened that way, though, it was heavily related to your womanhood. Right?
Okay.
As a woman, you must have remembered it precisely
That's
to
right.
the point.
I totally agree with you.
Right. So
This is all a sham.
By I'm a boy, all right? If somebody pushed me to a corner,
Yeah.
took my manhood away,
Right. No, you'd remember it.
I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember
You'd
it.
probably get even too.
Right? No.
I would.
I remember it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how women handle it.
Yeah.
Well, I probably will assume the whole thing.
Yeah.
I am putting all these everything together. I recommend you this, a proposal made by a New York Times reporter. His name is David Leonard. He wrote this proposal, says, what if we put a term limit to the
Supreme Court.
to
Lifetime appointment.
to the Supreme Court judgeship
Yep.
to replace the lifetime position.
Right.
And that would take care of the whole thing. All right. So, my dear friend, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we continue talking about this. To take care of it from the root point. Stay with us. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the weekly update with my friend Ken Hemming. We are down to the fourth segment. The last one, we're talking about this, which is the proposal made by a New York Times reporter,
Leonard.
Leonard. Okay, now, he proposed that what if we put some term limit to the Supreme Court judge, right? So your response? Now I believe you read this.
Yes,
right?
I did. I read. I could probably recite it. But this is, I guarantee, with maybe 1 in a million chance of being wrong, that he is a progressive liberal Democrat. Okay, because the agenda of I've always said regular Democrats are great, regular Republicans are great. Okay, the Democrat Party has been taken over by radical leftist socialists. But now, so this, and their desire, their agenda, Jack, is to demolish the Constitution. The Supreme Court lifetime appointment is a part of the original concepts of our founding fathers, and to want to change that is just to promote their agenda of diminishing the Constitution and anything that doesn't meet their agenda. The agenda of the left, the Democratic Party, is stronger governmental control over the lives of people. And I'm for liberty of each individual where the government works for us. So this is all. I couldn't disagree more with that.
Let me ask you: do you support the term limit of presidency?
Of course.
All right. Why do you support term limit of presidency?
Because George Washington could have been king of America, and he set the tone. He said, we do not want a royalty around here, so you serve and you go home.
When George Washington made this decision, which was followed, which was echoed by all the members of Congress back then, though.
Correct.
Was there a constitution?
Well, same time.
No, much later.
Well, that's not true.
89, all right, now.
Well, 1776.
When there, okay, no, not 76.
Declaration of Independence.
Now,
yeah.
I'm talking about, so when the term limit of a presidency was made, right, was there a 9-member judge of the Supreme Court?
I don't know how many members it was, but they established the Supreme Court.
I did. Look into the years, you'll find out they are much later, right? And 87 and 89.
Okay.
87 and 89.
Okay.
Now, should the Supreme Court showed up at a time when they were discussing the presidency term limit, I believe the Supreme Court judge would have given a term limit.
I disagree, and I can tell you why.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, because, like, for example, I'm all for term limits for congressmen and senators. Republicans, Democrats, they both get in there and they get greedy and they feel the power and they just succumb to corruption. It's too tempting. They should be in and out. Serve and go back home. In the original founding fathers, they met maybe 6 months a year. They went back and took care of their farms or whatever they had, lawyers, whatever. But the Supreme Court is supposed to be an institution that has no possible impact of political thoughts on their performance. That they are, it's a lifetime assignment, so you don't have to worry about Republicans or Democrats getting in or out and being gerrymandered like that. You are, and actually, and Kavanaugh said he would not vote, on the court he'd vote, but not as a citizen because he didn't think that's compatible with the lifetime assignment as a judge on the Supreme Court. So that's why it's supposed to be pure intellect with no political persuasion affecting your thinking in evaluating the Constitution and its applicability to the cases.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
All right. Thank you.
My jaw's sore.
Very good. So, do you believe a term limit was only made for the consideration of political interference?
Well, I'm not sure which term limit.
Do you believe a term limit, the fact that we put a term limit on something has also a consideration of the human mind?
Well, we don't have...
Or health conditions related to age. When people started doing this...
People have resigned from the Supreme Court for health reasons, Jack.
What if this individual...
Ruth Bader Ginsburg should resign.
What if this individual does not choose to resign if he or she does this?
Well, the other 8 members could certainly make it happen. Yes, they have the power to... Yes, they do.
Right.
Yeah.
When you have to have the other 8 members make that decision, though, why don't you start from the very beginning, put some term limits here, there, to prevent the whole thing?
It doesn't prevent anything.
No, it does.
It doesn't prevent anything.
It does. Yes, it does.
I love you. Nothing.
Yeah, it does. I love you too.
Yeah.
We can discuss another day. We can discuss another thing. Okay, now.
The whole thing is purity of intellectual evaluation.
The fact that it costs this much in the confirmation, though,
is
because exactly it is understood by every single one in the hearing that once decision is made, it's going to be a lifetime decision.
Jack, let me tell you, in the past, whatever the past is, there was never this truly classless attack. Now, way back with Bork, when he got borked, they attacked him.
Yeah, exactly.
But it used to be...
Why people can put those unreasonable points or take unreasonable long time in the confirmation process.
You have never seen...
And they can even filibuster it, right? So
filibuster is part of the process.
They can even filibuster it because they believe this is a lifelong decision.
It's a lifelong assignment. Yeah.
You can't afford to be wrong.
But
right
see,
now,
like
this proposal, that proposes them with a term limit of 18 years.
Okay.
Term limit of 18 years, a 4-year term that goes with the presidency, that equally spreads to each president get an opportunity to nominate 2.
This is
each president nominate 2.
Well, no.
So it wouldn't occur to this situation. Take Jimmy Carter, for example.
He never appointed anybody.
Jimmy never appointed anyone.
But he was only president for 4 years.
Richard Nixon filled the 4 seats.
So?
Did 4 in his 5.5 years of presidency.
Okay, that's because that's the way the cookie crumbles. Life and death are random. So people either retired or died.
No, so
that's life.
Why don't we forget the whole thing? Given the given the condition that even the Constitution had been amended 27 times.
Because
right? If you divided the years by 27 times, that on the average of every 9 years, there goes a amendment.
Jack, this is nothing.
We are overdue on an amendment. Why don't we amend it to insert a term
It would
limit
ruin
there?
the purity of the intellectual opportunity to evaluate the Constitution as it applies to cases that come before the Supreme Court. It would wipe that out, and it would be nothing but a political activity again. This must be pure for intellectual thinking without a bias.
Yeah, I'm not talking about any bias. I don't want to insert any bias in the whole thing. I'm talking about just to prevent the tedious, right, long process. Right?
This is nothing but a progressive recommendation to diminish the purity of the court.
The existing system allows the bullshit, right?
Okay.
Allows the delaying. I believe that Dianne Feinstein purposely delayed the process, right? For the whatever, right? If we do not do that to take care of it from the very end, put term limits there, well, they do not even have to.
If he was going to be on there for 18 years, she'd have done the same thing, because they just don't want a conservative.
18 years when compared to 80 years.
I don't care.
You're still talking about the law problem.
It would completely ruin the intellectual purity of those that are blessed to serve on our Supreme Court.
Anyway, tomorrow I have another discussion with my friend James Lee.
Yeah,
James Lee is the
nice guy.
One of the consulting members of Bush presidency,
Right.
both 41 and 43.
Yeah.
So. And
Nice
I'll
gentleman.
check with him. Yeah, for sure. I'll check with him about what he.
I want to see that show.
What he takes, right? Okay, my dear friend, we're over time. We're arguing. We forgot a time track, but still, we want to make a point. I go no conspiracy. I just want to point out that anything can be amended. There's nothing perfect, right? So
The Constitution.
No. Well, why don't we do it 27 times? My dear friend, thank you for watching my lovely audiences. And to Cam, thank you for sharing.
Can't
thank
wait.
you for disagreeing with me.
Can't wait to come back. Thanks, Jack.
All right, good.
Thanks.